All right, here we go. Episode number 6 of
The Handbag Husband.
The Handbag Husband. Yay! All right, today, and I think probably last week, once this thing airs, my wife and I, we're going to be talking about our trip, a little trip that we took out to Sin City, that is Las Vegas, to obviously eat some crispy pork and to do some leisuring, and of course to shop at some of the most densely packed triplets of Hermes stores in the United States. In fact, they're all on the same street. So we're going to be talking about our visit to the Hermes boutiques at the Wynn, at the Bellagio, as well as at the shops at Crystal, which I think is next to Aria or Cosmo. It's one of those hotels over there. Additionally, we'll talk about the impressions that we got from the boutiques, some of the nuances that we all noticed, and also the bags and Hermes goods that we got offered, and what we ended up picking up, if anything. Now, before we get to it, I just want to say thank you to everyone who's been joining us on the channel. And it's really been helping us to grow the channel, and our overall Hermes experiences, getting to share them with you, are kind of a great pleasure. I really enjoy it, no?
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah. So if you do like our Hermes conversation, if you like the Hermes eye candy that we're putting out, as well as you like what we're doing just overall, you like the general milieu, don't forget to like and subscribe, because it does really help the channel to grow more and helps us to put out more content and keep everything going and growing. All right, now, let's get down to it. All right, so let's talk about one of the differences overall about visiting the boutique in Las Vegas versus visiting a boutique that's here at home in Los Angeles for us or wherever you are. First, and obviously the type of interactions that you're going to have in Vegas are really different. They're kind of more of a transitory space, and you're just there, kind of overnight, or sometimes 2 or 3 days. Anything more than that.
But that's how you feel, though?
Yeah.
That's how you feel?
Yeah, I think that's the vibe that I get from the boutique.
That's the mindset that you go in with that kind of mindset.
I mean, that is the reality that you're going to it.
Sure.
Right? No one's like, oh, I'm going to be here for 3 weeks, but I'm going to be here for 3 days. I mean,
Sure.
you can't have that mindset, otherwise, it just doesn't work out, right?
Sure.
So it's a bit of a transitory space, and that means that it's not really a great opportunity to develop a rapport. There's not really a chance to develop a rapport with any of the SAs. Also means that the SAs are super duper attuned to people just trying to do like a one and done style. Give me a quota bag and let me just spend my money and get it. They get used to that and have become very skilled at sidestepping those kinds of approach. So the thing is that because it's such a short time, I think you kind of have to be like, can I get a quota bag? Can I get a quota bag? And
at their mercy, basically.
Yeah, and we're at their mercy like always, but they're also super used to just up front being like no, right? They just have a no cocked and ready to go for everyone who comes walking in.
Yeah.
More so than the stores that are here, where you may have met your rep a couple times, your SA a couple times, and they'll put you down nicely. The SAs in Vegas are like no, no. But of course, we have seen people, especially on like the purse socials, on the purse blogs and things like that, say that they have walked in with no purchase history in Las Vegas and had an opportunity to get bags.
Sure.
So we've seen that for sure. And so we figured, what the heck? We got nothing to lose. We got a couple of Mai Tais in us. Let's get a chance to talk to some of these SAs and shoot our shot and see if anyone is going to give us a quota bag. Also, one of the other things I think that Las Vegas has going for it, or going against it, I don't know, I'll see what you have to think about this, but is that it is specifically a city that is genetically designed to encourage people to spend their money poorly, which is a perfect place for an Hermes boutique, obviously. And there are lots of people kind of walking around with quota bags and flashy jewelry and conspicuous consumption pretty much everywhere you go, especially on the Strip, meaning that people show up to the SAs and they are trying to buy their way in right away. They're like, look, I'm willing to spend literally whatever you need me to spend to get the bag, which again is another kind of detriment to the SA, because they can't take all those people. They have to save bags for the locals, they have to save bags for the regulars, and I just don't think that they want that type of business, because there's not a lot of follow-up kind of business that goes along with it. So, there's all that kind of mixed in there. So it's a very interesting environment going to really any of
to me,
the boutiques.
If I need to compare Vegas, you compare to Paris, because basically you have exact 3 stores, lots and lots of tourists from everywhere in the world.
Yeah.
And they also have to cater towards their own local people too. So I think it's kind of almost the same.
Yeah, I never even thought about that. It's probably similar. But Paris doesn't have people spending money in the same way that Las Vegas does. All right, so let's talk about each of the boutiques specifically. So the Wynn, the Bellagio, as well as the shops at Crystal. Also keep in mind, this is just our opinion. I'm going to steal that review. This is just our opinion. Disclaimer, this is just our opinion.
Disclaimer, I didn't go into any of the stores.
Also, this is our opinion. I'm not saying that these stores are exactly the way that I'm saying. I'm not saying that they're good or bad. I'm just saying this is the way that we felt when we went in there. It's not Hermes law or truth. It's just kind of the opinion that we have. So, also, if you had a similar experience or even a different experience, I'd love for you to put in the comments and we can kind of talk about that too, because I'm curious if people experience Las Vegas in the same way that we did.
So just for the information, we went there on Saturday and at like 10-ish, 11-ish.
Yeah, and I don't know if the days actually matter, because we went there on Saturday. But I don't know if the days actually matter. I'm sure they're busier on Saturday, but also Vegas has like conventions and they have all kinds of people show up that show up midweek. So I don't know I don't really know how that pans out. All right, so let's start with the first Hermes boutique that we went to, which was at the Wynn, which is a boutique that's kind of sort of out of the way, right? It's not really...
It's like almost at the end of the strip.
Yeah, it's at the very end of the strip. It's pretty far away. But that being said, the Wynn Hotel is a hotel that does kind of cater to those folks who are willing to pay more for their accommodations and likely for their bags as well. So I'll just say, I mean, walking around the Wynn, we saw a fair amount of people with quota bags.
Yeah, Birkins, Kellys.
And I'll put some of those up here from the content that we had.
Sure.
I think it was definitely more than anywhere else we went, percentage-wise.
Around the casino. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Now that being said, the visit to the Wynn boutique for Hermes was pretty short. Primarily because, one, the first warning sign is that we didn't even get an SA. We got basically, or I, because you waited outside.
I know.
I'm gonna say we in the royal sense, so
sure.
just don't correct me. Overall, if I ever say we in the future, it could potentially mean just me or it could mean both of us. Okay. So when we went in, there was not an SA there to help us out. There was just kind of a runner who was there, like the person that usually helps the SA go back and forth and grab.
The one that wears the running shoes.
The one that wears the comfortable running shoes. So he took me over to the leather department, and the first thing that I noticed about the leather department is that it was completely empty, but one Steve bag. So it sort of makes sense that they didn't have any folks on the floor able to sell bags or sell really anything, because they didn't really have anything to sell. So I was just sitting there kind of in the lonely leather section, and they didn't have any money clips. They didn't have any sac de peches that I was looking for. They had no quota bags, at least purportedly.
For you.
Yeah, for me. And when I asked for the quota bag, the greeter just kind of laughed. He's like, which, made me feel exactly how you would expect to make me feel. So the experience is what I got from the store is that, they had nothing to sell and they had no one to sell the bags if they did have any, but they didn't, so it didn't matter. Again, the only bag that I saw in the boutique was a Steve Light Jr. messenger bag, which I was definitely not interested in because, I'm not a Steve, I'm not a light messenger bag guy, and I feel like I'm in the era of my life where I'm a little past the messenger bag, if you catch my drift. In previous experiences, when we had walked by the Hermes store, I felt like the Wynn really is more of a store designed for kind of high frequency, non-Las Vegas people. Right? I feel like people who fly in for the weekend or do whatever they're doing, they stay at the Wynn, they spend lots of money, and those are the people who are developing the relationships with the SAs at the Wynn boutique. It's not really just kind of random people wandering in. I feel like I just don't think that's kind of what this one is set up for. And in fact, it feels like they've kind of scavenged all the things that were in this one to go to some of the other boutiques that actually did have lots of bags in them, but were a kind of different experience.
Did they tell you to go visit other stores?
No.
They're just like, thank you, bye.
They're just like, thank you, goodbye. Thank you, no, goodbye. Yeah.
So they were not trying to say, oh, are you interested in something else and nothing?
Yeah, I mean, the guy was, like I said, the guy wasn't an SA. He was just like, this is what we have. If you don't like it, then that's too bad. And when I'm like, you have nothing, they're like, yeah, that's too bad.
Wait, is quote unquote?
No. But I mean, that is the effort. He's just like, there's just those long silences, like, so do you have anything? And they're like, no. And then...
Not even try.
And then just like...
Hoobling flares.
Yeah. But all right, I guess I'll take off. I was like, bye. All right, so next up was a boutique that was considerably more eventful, which was the Hermes boutique that is in Bellaggio.
So busy. Yeah. People everywhere.
All over
so
the place.
busy. Everywhere on the... What's it called? The check-in area? Because it's right across from the
with the guy with the piano and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and all the flowers and people just all over the place.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Which is cool. So it's almost felt like the antithesis of the Wynn. because it's located, one, in Bellagio Casino, which is pretty much dead center of the strip where everyone kind of ends up funneling through at some point or another. And the Bellagio is also full of people all over the place. And it's sort of like more of a mid-market hotel, whereas the Wynn's kind of a higher-end hotel overall. Yes, Bellagio has high-end rooms and low-end rooms, but I think overall they kind of cater to a more general audience.
Yeah,
and so you just have a lot more people coming in, and also the location is way easier. And I think that is reflected in the clientele and the setup of the Bellagio boutique. It is probably one of the boutiques that is the most staffed out of the three. I saw the most SAs running around. I think they said they had 16 of them, which is a lot, right? But again, it does cater to more of that one and done style shopper. I think that the Bellagio is really meant for those kind of people who just show up for a vacation and they can show up and get a bag and bounce out.
I guess it's easier to shop, cause like with the Wynn, it's lots of walking. This is like right at like the check-in, check-out.
Yeah.
So people just like come down, like Rolex stores, whatever, it's easier to spend money.
Also, it's kind of like in transit because the primary boutique, which was pretty small, I recall last time it was a pretty small, just like two,
long,
like long and two square kind of rooms. It was being remodeled or redesigned, or maybe they're even moving. So the boutique right now is in a temporary space that is much, much bigger, but it's not all built out. It's not all finished like you would imagine a normal Hermes boutique is, with the nice wood and the cabinets and all that kind of stuff. So it's in a transitory space, and so they just kind of have stuff just stacked all over the place. That being said, the shelves were relatively well stocked. But the items on the shelves were not things like, they were not Kelly's and Birkins and the quota bags. Even the ones saying these are not for you. There was more of like horse stuff and like frisbees and.
You don't want frisbees?
I mean, I want the frisbee. It wasn't on our list, but I don't know.
Sure.
But they had like horse blankets and they had like kind of strange boxes and bags that I don't think were in high demand. So, I think that they were obviously concerned about it being a temporary space and not putting out all the best stuff that they have. But that being said, I did see people who had appointments who were obviously locals or maybe had an established relationship who were getting Kelly's and Birkin bags. And I'll tell you one thing, the SAs get very antsy when you're like, hey, is that a Kelly that person's getting? They're like, But it's okay.
What Kelly was it?
It looked like maybe like a 28
Sure.
taupe with gold hardware. I didn't get any pictures. Sorry, I felt I want to protect that person's privacy, so I decided not. I thought that'd be a faux pas to take any videos of it. And they get a little antsy when you start taking videos. Anyway, but like I said, on the shelves they had lots of like home good stuff and things that were not exhibit only. You could buy them, but they were things that most people would not really want to buy. One good thing is I did get to meet with an SA, very nice guy. He took the time to kind of really walk me through what they had, and I explained to them what I was looking for because
when I dropped you off at the store, there's like lineup of SA, like by the it's like line, maybe 5 SA was standing.
Yeah, so unlike the Wynn where there's like one guy who was like on his cell phone, right? The Bellagio had like a lineup
and like wait for you to like get you.
Like in the old school movies in Europe where they have like all the people lining up in front of the house. Yeah, they're like, oh, good welcome. So they had a lot of SAs there who were willing to help, and I thought that was really nice. Like I said, the store was not super nice because it was just like a transitory space. It was just like they had temporary shelves and temporary like merchandise platforms and things that they put everything on. I did get to meet with an SA. He was very nice, and he got a chance to kind of talk to me about what they had. I was explaining to him what I was primarily looking for is either a Birkin 40 for myself, a Sac de Pêche 41 if they had it, and maybe the one buckle or the 2 buckle. I like the 2 buckle. I don't know if they make that anymore. And a couple other things, but unfortunately they didn't obviously have a lot of stuff. But what he did show me is another one of the Steve bags, the Steve Junior Messenger bags, which again, I'm not a Junior Messenger bag guy. And then he also showed me a Etrivet.
Is that your French?
That's my French, excuse my French, the Etrivet. And I'll put a picture up of it here and some of the other footage from when he showed it for me. It was in canvas and it looked like sort of like box leather, like handles, or like a smooth on gold leather on the handles and the support straps. So it was a cool bag, but again, I'm primarily looking for a bag to bring back to the office and to be able to be big enough to fit stuff in. So like the Sac de Pêche 41. And since it was in canvas, that's not really, I don't know. I didn't think
it's too casual.
It was a little too casual for the office. So I turned it down. They also had some of those home goods that I really thought were interesting. Like, for example, the $25,000 globe, the Hermes globe.
What's
They
it
had
made
that.
of? Wood?
Oh, I don't know. They didn't let me touch it.
Obviously no,
Just
but
touch
like,
it. I'm
is
gonna
it
go
like
touch it next
leather
time.
or is it like wood?
I would imagine it's leather.
Okay.
For $25,000 for a globe, it better be made of leather at least from Hermes. They didn't have any of the money clips either, which I had been looking for, and they didn't have the Wink keychain either. So they're pretty limited on what they had. It seemed like for the larger bags that they primarily just had like canvas bags,
I
no
saw
her
they had
bags.
lots of shoes though,
Yeah, they had lots of shoes.
like women's shoes. I
Yeah,
think.
yeah. And lots of husbands who hung out in the women's shoes area,
Oh,
just
yeah.
just on their phones, like come on, handbag husbands, get it together. Definitely not handbag husbands. So yeah, it was a good experience. I really enjoyed working with the SA there. He was very friendly, and they were very attentive. They just didn't really have that much stuff. When I asked him about potentially getting a quota bag, he was more of the line of saying that you'd have to develop a relationship here with us. And the bags that do come in, since we have so many SAs, they oftentimes get sold out real quick because they already have so many people already coming in. So I think the Bellaggio one is probably one of the highest kind of production stores in Las Vegas out of the three. And I think that if you were to have a quota bag offered to you on the first try, like the first time you show up, it'd probably be either Bellaggio or the Crystal.
This is just
stores.
us guessing though.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I didn't get bags there, so I don't know, maybe not, I could be totally wrong, but I just feel like the vibe and the attentiveness there was at the level that you could potentially have gotten a bag if you had met the other criteria, whatever those internal criteria for them is.
A sofa.
Yeah, buy something. Oh, also, I forgot, I asked him if there was a spending limit, like, hey, can I just put some money in and get some money out? And he said no. He said that there is not, and I don't know, they probably are not that open about it, but he had indicated that there's not really a spending limit, not a 1-to-1 or a 2-to-1 or a 3-to-1. So he said there was not any specific money that you can put in or anything like that. It's just kind of got to develop a relationship. And so allegedly, purportedly, that you can't just kind of buy your way there at Bellagio, although I'm skeptical. All right, so last up for this visit in Las Vegas was one of the stores that I actually is one of my favorite ones.
After the crispy pork.
Yes, after the crispy pork, so I was like half asleep. But it's one of my favorite ones, I think, on the Strip because of the fact that it feels more like a normal Hermes boutique. I feel like the one at the Crystal,
Crystal. Yeah.
at Crystal.
Crystal.
I feel like this one is really set up for people who are trying to establish some sort of long-term history. So maybe it's locals, but they don't seem only accepting of locals because one, they set appointments, which is unique. I don't really think the other ones set appointments unless you have a prior history with them.
I mean, there's an appointment you can just do it online. That's what you referring to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I didn't have an appointment. I just kind of walked up, and it's more of like in a mall situation, so it's not really a casino. And
How long do you wait in line for?
I probably waited in line for, I don't know, maybe like 10, 15 minutes. So there was definitely a line. They definitely also, too, like the Wynn, were having issues with their staffing. I don't know if Bellaggio took all the staff, but I also did not get an SA initially at the stores at Crystal. In fact, I got one of the runners, and she was very nice. She was telling me that she's working her way up to be an SA. I hope she does. Good job. Keep going. Keep going. Keep at it. So I come in and gave them the spiel. I'm looking for a professional bag, a larger size, Birkin 40, Saka Depeche 41, a single or double latch, money clips. And initially they said no, they didn't have anything, and sort of kind of like go away. So I continued the conversation and kind of continued to talk, and actually they started to warm up a little bit, right? So they started to say, hey, do you want something to drink and things like that. And as I got talking a little bit more about the situation and our kind of previous experience with Hermes on the Europe side, they were starting to open up a little bit and actually took me up to the leather section, which is upstairs on the second floor. So you get in the elevator and you go to the second floor. Yeah, so it's a very, very big store, and they have lots of good stuff in there. Once I got to the leather side, they had it look, again, like more of a normal boutique where they had tons and tons of kind of exhibit-only Birkins, Kellys, picnics. I didn't get a lot of pictures on it because they were super duper strict about taking any video there. I feel like this one was actually the most promising of the boutiques because I got a chance to meet with the floor manager who the runner brought over because I was talking about our experience before. And essentially what they had said is that when they looked up our U.S. Hermes history, it's at $0, which is true.
Yeah.
So I think that part of her consideration for looking into whether they have these bags or even like ordering the bags, they were looking at that number, and with a goose egg, they're not really going to just kind of accommodate you as well. So, but they were super open to creating an account, and they said, hey, if you want to create an account here, you can, and then we can start that relationship and basically start buying stuff. And when bags come in, we can order those. And one of the unique aspects about the Birkin 40 is that it's not common. Not a lot of people are asking for it. I guess maybe
I'm kind of surprised.
I think we were chatting about it. Like generationally, I think that the bags have gotten smaller for younger generations, so like Gen Zs or whatever the next generation after Gen Z is. Whereas folks, the old millennials like us. So I asked her about that, and she says, they don't order them a lot, and they're hard to get in because they just don't make that many because everyone's looking at, kind of smaller Kelly's.
I wonder if that's the case, but like in a sense of like, in the U.S. currently, what's people want, meaning that you get more of the quota for each store. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Meaning that they won't bid for, say, if they have like a credit, they won't bid for those to transfer to their stores.
Yeah.
Does it make sense?
Yeah, they have some sort of like internal process for getting them.
Because obviously you're not gonna get like each bag equally allocated to each store.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then maybe why should we use the credit to ask for the Birkin 40 to come to a store because no one's gonna buy it? That's it.
I mean, I'll buy it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, that is the 3 boutiques that we visit while we were in Las Vegas, at the Wynn, at the Bellaggio, and at the shops at Crystal. My favorite out of that, shops at Crystal, definitely. Bellaggio was okay, second best, and Wynn, there's room for improvement. I think that there's probably...
Isn't it because in the temporary store?
Wynn's not in the temporary store.
Oh, Bellaggio.
Bellaggio's temporary store, yeah. So, of course, I'll give them a chance again, and undoubtedly, anytime we go to Las Vegas...
They're going to say no again.
Yeah, they're going to say no again. And that's okay. I'm okay. I can take rejection. I'm kind of here for it. I'm okay with that. Because they're not all going to say no forever. Yeah. That's how it worked out with our bags before, so... Eventually, you knock on enough doors, eventually someone says yes. So that is it for today, episode 6. So the total score, here we are, year to date, is 4 visits to the Hermes boutique, 0 bags offered, and $0 spent. But ultimately, I do think that it is a good start. And again, like I said, we have our first real appointment at our home Hermes boutique with an SA that we know and we're becoming more familiar with next week. So I think that'll be very interesting to see what we're going to get, because we have kind of a good list of things that we want, and we'll see what we can actually get. All right, so that's it for this one. And, we didn't come out with really anything, but we also didn't come out with spending any money. And I think it's a good start to get a feel for the lay of the land of some of the other U.S. Hermes boutiques that are reasonably within distance for us. Stay tuned, because I think we're going to continue to try to work at it and knock on some more doors and see who says yes. So that is it for today for our visit to Las Vegas. Also, again, if you have any comments, I'd love to hear what you all think about your experiences at the boutiques in Las Vegas. Thank you so much for watching. If you made it this far to the very end,
good job.
Yeah, good job. Applause. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe. And until next time,
next week.
Yeah, next week. Bye.
Bye. I guess I was gonna ask, like, every time. So all these 3 stores.
Mm-hmm.
This is conversation. Are you gonna?
Sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And fix your hand, please.
Oh, so it's wheat.
You look so creepy. Go.
Just go look at something.
Go watch the playback, and then you'll see how creepy you bring with the straw.
Also, she mentioned that the one unique kind of aspect about the Birkin 41 is that it's not common.
Birkin 40.
Torso is too long on it, so I think it looks strange, especially because
you're short.
Yeah, because I'm kids. Short kings.